In Luke chapter 11, they went to him and said, Jesus, teach us how to pray. As John also taught disciples how to pray. John said, that which you have handled, tasted. We walk with the Son of God and walk with the Son of Man. We saw his divinity and we saw humanity. We saw him when he was in high spirit. We saw him speak to the tomb of Lazarus and say, Lazarus, come forth, and he came out. We saw him multiply bread. We saw him lay hands on blind Bartimaeus and he got healed. We saw him speak and what was not came. We saw him rebuke the wind and the storm cease, and we said, what manner of man is this? We saw him turn water into wine and his glory move everywhere. We saw him do wonders. We saw him forgive sins. They were there in the service when the paralytic was brought down in that service that was packed. There was nowhere, and they threw him down from the ceiling and Jesus healed him. They were there when they went by the pool of Bethesda, that the guy had been there for 38 years, and Jesus said, arise, take up your bed and walk. We saw him do mighty things, but we also saw him afraid. We saw him faint. We saw him hungered. We saw him tested. We saw him before he came down from the wilderness after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. We saw signs and wonders, but we have figured out that in any of the events of his life, anytime he did something mighty and powerful, he prayed. He never did anything without prayer. We saw him that before he entered Jordan to be baptized, the Bible says, and when all the people be baptized, it came to part of Jesus also being baptized and praying. The heavens opened. We saw him go to the wilderness, fasting 40 days and 40 nights, and counting the devil and coming back returning in the power of the Spirit. We saw him move mountains. We were there that day on the cross when he cried and said, I test. At that time his humanity was at work, and he cried, I test. And he cried, Eli, 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 lama sabachthani. They were there when he transfigured, and Elijah and must bow, and in the shock Peter said, Master, if you will, let me build a 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Elias, and one for Moses, and let us stay here. We saw him in the Garden of Gethsemane when he was afraid of the cross, and he cried and he prayed for 3 hours, and the Bible says sweat became like the cloth of blood. These disciples said, we've seen him, but one thing we have noticed and recognized, which is the secret of this man, is that whenever he prayed, there was a difference. We saw that his offering withdrew himself to a solitary place. There he prayed. We saw him prayed no matter his mood, whether happy or sad, he prayed. We saw him pray for the church. We saw him pray for Peter. We saw him pray in the morning, pray in the afternoon, pray always, pray with people. We saw him pray alone, pray in the public, and they concluded that the secret of this man is prayer, because anytime he prayed, there was a wonder, there was a sign, there was a move of God. So the disciples said, Jesus, teach us how to pray. We want to know prayer, but we have seen the secret and the difference. Who am I talking to today? The difference in the ministry of Jesus was prayer. Do not cease praying.